So it's been 10 years since I started my first company and sort of, I guess, started my career. Even though I didn't really go fully into it until a few years later than that. So like maybe 7 years now or something like that. 7, 8 years probably. But if there's one thing that I could go back and tell myself to do differently at that time when I first started, it would be to basically shut everything out and focus solely on one thing, and that thing is copywriting. Because over these past 10 years, I've learned, I always kind of intuitively knew the importance of copywriting, I think, and I always liked writing in general, and also actually almost more specifically copywriting. I think copywriting is the type of writing that I enjoy most. But I only learned it like here and there, very unstructured, sort of pick things up. Never really had a context to really hone my skills and get a lot of repetitions for copywriting. And I'm realizing now that I'm starting this new brand where I'm the solo founder. I'm doing all the email flows. I designed my whole website with all the copy on the website and stuff, all the social media posts. And so it's the first time I have this context of just repetition after repetition of just like honing my skills in copywriting. And it made me realize that this is what I should have been doing the very first year or 2 years of my career, just focusing only on becoming a master copywriter. And I'll tell you why. Copywriting is, like, if you think about what copywriting is, it's basically persuasion in the form of writing. And the thing that's so powerful about that is, like, for one, the obvious thing is that like a lot of business is just writing, emails, social media, websites. Again, like a big part of business and what drives sales is copywriting. But even bigger than that, like essentially your whole life is about persuading people. And that sounds a little bit crass maybe, but it's everything from, your relationships to, again, like writing personal emails, getting into a good school or whatever you want to do. Sorry, I have a cold today. Everything in your life is basically like, at least all the success and like creating the life that you want has almost everything to do with you persuading other people to see things from your perspective. And the thing that's so powerful about copywriting, I think, is that writing as a practice in itself is really just clear thinking. Many people get this wrong. Like, they think that you need to think clearly and then write, but like the practice of writing is actually more or less equivalent to thinking. So the more you write and the better you become at writing, the clearer it sort of forces you to think clearer, and you can't really write well if you do not think clearly. And so what copywriting does, if you do a lot of copywriting and you get good at it, it basically means you're really good at persuasion and you're really good at writing, which means you think really clearly. And that, honestly, that combination makes you deadly, both in business but also in your personal life. There's really is nothing that can stop you then. And so I really wish I would have done this sooner to really get heavy into copywriting like I am doing now. But it's never too late. So I'm just taking the chance that I have now, and I'm doing everything I can with it, and I'm really enjoying learning about copywriting. So I wanted to share some of the tips, like the most effective methods that I've found right now and that I'm using right now to get good at copywriting. I'm only part of the way through the journey of like getting really good, but I definitely have a few resources that I want to share with you. And then if you have a brand already or a product that you're selling, I also have some very specific practical tips that I want to share that I'm using and that I think you should implement right now. And so for like the way that I'm approaching learning copywriting right now is number one, reading. And as always, when it comes to reading, a lot of people think that you need to read an insane amount of books. That's one way to do things, but it's not the most important. It's much more important to read with quality, read the best things, and really understand them. So I'm gonna recommend three books and one article. The first one is The Boron Letters. It's probably the most classic copywriting book there is, I think. It's very short, very easy to read, and you have to, like, you're not a copywriter if you haven't read it, like straight up. So read that first. In that book, the author, he will recommend a few other books. Among those books are the Robert Collier letter book, which I've also have been recommended from many other sources. So I'm reading that too, almost finished with that. And then the one I haven't finished yet is Ultimate Sales Letters. No, The Ultimate Sales Letter, I think it's called, by Dan Kennedy. And then the final tip is an article from Scott Adams, who is the writer behind the Dilbert comic. And he has an article in his blog, super short, which is called The Day You Became a Better Writer. Yeah, there's very few things that I've read on the internet or anywhere else that has more value than that short piece of writing. So please go do yourself a favor and read that first, maybe even just because it takes you 1 minute to read. So those were like the references for what to read to get good at copywriting. The other side of things is to practice. And the best way to do that is like a technique that I think is called copy work. I've heard that term many times. I'm not sure if that's like the official term or if it's just that some people call it that. But copy work is essentially just copying other people's writing with your own handwriting. And I I procrastinated on this for a long time because it just sounds, if you're someone who likes to do things efficiently and you like to, create systems and stuff, it just sounds so dumb to copy something word by word. It just sounds kind of a waste of time. But trust me, it is not. Like, you have to do this. Take the recommendations from the Boron Letters book. Take those classic ads that he recommends and spend 20 minutes per day or something just in your own handwriting, copying those words and really trying to think about why the writer chooses the specific words, the layout of the article, and everything like that. It's magical. Like, you can't really understand it until you experience the act of doing it yourself. So read those books, do copy work on sort of in parallel. And then, of course, for me, I have a bunch of stuff to write for my business right now. So that's also a lot of practice. And I'm trying to implement everything I'm learning from the copy work and the books into my emails and everything that I do. And then if you have a brand or a product already, I have two very, very strong recommendations that have helped me a lot. And I think you should implement these right now in your business. The first one, if you have not done this, is to simply write, if you have one product, it's easy. If you have many products, it's could be a much more complicated thing to do this. But essentially, it's called a feature benefits table. So simply what you do is you make one column and write down all the features that you can come up with of your product. And then on the second column, you write all the benefits that the features correspond to. And the format of it is that you write the features just objectively what they are. And then the benefit you write so you can. Because that's like the golden connection here. You have a feature that enables someone, the prospect who's about to buy, to have a benefit. So the feature allows them to do something. This so you can. And you just write that out. And the power in this is to just have a very structured reference. So you can, like, anytime you write something about your product, you can always go back and just see exactly what feature do you want to hit, and what benefit does that sort of bring to the potential buyer. And I just think that a lot of people have all these things in their head, and they never take the time to structure it out like that. And I actually learned this exercise from this like new and up and coming YouTube guy who's amazing. Like, I couldn't recommend them more. I think they're called Ecom Soup. He's this super cool dude. Would love to meet him someday. And he's just like a master of ecom and copywriting. So this was a very good exercise that was a recommendation from him. So feature benefits table is number one. And then the other thing that's much less hands-on is to just sign up to the email list of all the brands that you admire, your competitors, like everything that's relevant to you, what you're doing right now. Sign up to those email newsletters and just really take your time when they send out stuff. Take your time to study what they're doing. Like, how are they writing the copy? How are they designing the emails, the layouts and stuff? And you can obviously do this by with their websites as well, compare and learn from them. But I find that signing up to their emails is really good because email is very copy centric, very sales centric. And it also is sort of passive. So you don't have to do anything. You just get them into your inbox and you can just like look at them when you have time. And then what you do is you create a folder in your email client and you save all those emails that you're getting from all these different companies. So then you have a big library pretty quickly. You end up with a big library of emails that you can then draw inspiration from or go back and like look at how they wrote this specific phrase that you can just steal, whatever it is. So that's been super useful for me as well. I'm gonna stop ranting now because this is gonna end up being like 20 minutes at least, I think. But yeah, go learn copywriting. Like, I don't understand why I didn't do this before, or like at the very beginning of my career. And so if that's you in the early days of your career, doesn't matter what you do, honestly, if you're just a human living your life, you should learn copywriting. Yeah, that's all for today. I'm gonna keep hanging out with these flies now. I'm not sure why they're bothering me so much today, but yeah, I'll see you next week or the week after. I'm not sure if I'm doing weekly or bi-weekly right now, but yeah, I'll see you soon. All right.